Monsters, movies, and mayhem.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem, aka MMM, or as we like to say, I'm your host, Murderface, and with me, contractually, as always, Jeff. Jeff, say hi to the people, Jeff.
Hey, beautiful people.
On today's episode, we got Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, another one of my favorites. That's right. Another one of my favorites, coming straight from the year 2000,
Y2K.
the Y2K. That's right. What were some of the good horror movies that came out this year? Well, I'll tell you.
Talk to me.
Let me talk to you. Dracula 2000, a very fitting name for a very fitting year. Ginger Snaps, Urban Legend. That's right, with a nice cameo from Brad Dourif himself. And then we have The Cell with J-Lo.
Yeah.
Leprechaun in the Hood. That's when you reach the peak. When your Leprechaun movies
Shout
in
out
the
to
hood.
the hood.
Scream 3. Who can forget that haircut? That's right. Those bangs are that's the real horror movies, those bangs. Hollow Man, or as we like to call Invisible and Horny.
Old nickname in high school.
Final Destination 1. That was probably the biggest box office movie of that year. American Psycho and Pitch Black. What a year in horror movies. Speaking of horror movies, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, directed by and written by Joe Berlinger, known for Paradise Lost, documentary on child murderers in West Memphis. Oh yeah. The documentary style doesn't seep too much into Blair Witch 2 though. Some of the shots here and there, but the title card mainly, it was a direct reference to Paradise Lost. So Joe Berlinger did try to contact Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, who wrote and directed the first one. He sent them the script. They asked not to put their names on it, but at least he got in contact with them and let them know, hey, I'm making the next one. It didn't seem like it bothered Eduardo Sanchez though, because he went on to direct a few TVs on From Dusk Till Dawn, Taken, Lucifer, Supernatural, Charmed, and one segment on VHS2. And VHS2 had amazing segments of horror in that movie. It was a nice anthology of horror movies, and his name is on one of them.
Go watch VHS too.
Go check that out. Speaking of TV shows, this movie is starring a big TV show actor, Jeffrey Donovan,
My brother.
as Jeff, who went on to star in Burn Notice, Law and Order, and he was also in Sicario, the Mexican hitman movie, which was awesome. That movie was great. We also have Erica Learson as Erica, who went on to be in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake and Wrong Turn 2. I haven't seen Wrong Turn 2, but I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre Remake a lot. It was really good. It's one of the few remake movies that were done right. We have Tristan Schuyler as Tristan, who went on to be on TV shows like Angel and Law and Order. A lot of Law and Order cast. Writers, directors, actors, everyone, special effects artists, everyone works on Law and Order.
I do Law and Order sometimes.
Oh, Jeff, you were in Law and Order?
Yeah, I'm an expert.
I didn't recognize you. You played Decomposing Skeleton number 2? Good job, dude.
I'm going for the Oscar this year.
We have Kim Director as Kim. She was on Inside Man, the TV show The Deuce, and Glenn Danzig's movie Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Definitely a future episode. We have to do something about Danzig's own Death Rider in the House of Vampires. What a name, too.
Hell yeah.
But we got to talk about the main actor that steals the show. Big Al himself, Lanny Flaherty, as the Burkittsville Sheriff Ronald Cravens.
Big Al.
Yeah, he survived prison, and he survived being in Blood Out, despite him being stabbed. Yeah, he went on to live a secluded life as a sheriff in Burkittsville.
Sorry, I'm all out of pork chops.
sorry, no tortillas. Jeff, I know we got to talk about this movie, but I want to talk about one thing before we do, and that is the DVD special features for this movie. The Secret of Estrover was the coolest thing I've seen in a DVD Easter egg since they added subliminal messages in the ring, but they add some really good ones throughout the film. And on certain scenes, if you decoded them, you would get a secret message in reverse. And if you flip them and put them into the movie's website, you would get secret scenes that weren't in the movie. That's right.
What?
Yeah, you got it was like when they had secret decoders back in the 70s cartoon shows. They brought it back for this one in 2000 horror movies. Yeah, if you keep your eyes peeled throughout the movie, and you'll see like someone laying on a tombstone, and then the tombstone is like has scribbled writing on it. You can't really make sense of it. And then they cut away to someone else, and then when they come back, it'll say a certain word. Write that word down. It's important later. And then when you go to another scene and someone's closing a door and there's nothing on it, and it opens up again and there's a word on that door, you write that down. Write that down. Keep it in your notebook. When I saw this, I was writing down all these words on my mirror because I had the closet door mirrors, so it just looked like like a crazed man's like words just scribbled all over the door, trying to put them in certain orders to try and figure out the secret of the Blair Witch 2. Blair Witch 2, let's talk about Joe Berlinger. Joe Berlinger tried his hardest to not have shaky cam at all through this movie, which is what the first Blair Witch had a lot of. Near the end of the credits, he does have a shaky cam footage of like someone running through the trees, like here you go, here's your finally get your Blair Witch shaky cam for all the original fans, because the first one it's known for its shaky cam, but you really try to stay away from that in this one. And he at the very end he's like, you know what, just for shits and gigs, let's put a little shaky cam scene in there. And it's funny because that's at the very end, like after the credits, but during the credits the camera like zooms out to try and get like an aerial view of just people leaving like the forest, and just like a crew of news people. If you keep watching it, they eventually like they follow like a line of people, and off to the side you see like children dressed in like Victorian black and white collared clothes, like witch time era clothes.
Witches. And
they're just holding hands, dancing in a circle with one person in the middle. It's very, very Wicker Man like, and it's a nice little nod to give you a reason to stay at credit scenes and post credit scenes. They've been doing it before Marvel. Now this version of the movie has a lot of scenes from the future spliced with the president to show gore and action, but Joe Berlinger's director's cut had them at the end of the movie to show like a big reveal so everything can like build up, and the audience can discover like, oh, like this happened here and this happened here, and that's why they're being that's why it's more meaningful when they're being interrogated later. But the producers were like, no, this is another slow burn. We don't really want a slow burn. We want some action. We want some gore. Let's make it hip. Let's add MTV's News into the movie to kind of just like make you catch up, so to see what's going on. And let's add Marilyn Manson to the opening credits so people will know, hey, this is gonna be an exciting movie. And Joe Berlinger was they twisted his arm, so he's like, all right, I mean you're the one paying for it, so I guess I have to. And his original idea was trying to convince the audience what happened was real. And it did so well, people traveled to the town where it was filmed and harassed the locals about the experience of the Blair Witch. The sequel is more of a social commentary about what happened after the original caused fanaticism and obsession, and how the media shapes our perceptions, blurring the lines of fiction and reality. We follow the characters on a tour of of the Blair Witch sites scenes, and they don't know if they're succumbing to the evils of the forest or if they're just having collective delusions. I mean, the way that Joe Berlinger was really trying to get his own like vision across, it's too bad that they had to like it doesn't come off well because of the way they edited certain like hospital scenes and like lobo- slight lobotomy scenes to really make it seem like, oh no, this is actually it's because this character is crazy. He's not trying to convince you of something that's actually happening. No, he's just crazy. Yeah, so it kind of takes away like your, oh well, I guess I don't have to think too much about that. There's a really good scene in this movie. After a night of drinking in the forest, they black out and all their stuff is destroyed, and they have to piece together what happened by looking at videotapes from that night. The evils in the forest. I'm just gonna call them the evils in the forest because you don't really see a witch in here. But the evils in the forest aren't just looking for random hikers in the forest. They're they're after the character Christine because she's pregnant and like like the menstrual blood is important in some witchcraft. So they're like trying to get her, but they need her to like they really need to like start to mess with her mind a little bit. And so they don't just go after her; they go after everybody. So it'll be easier to take one person away if the rest of if everyone else is losing it too. The witchcraft in this movie didn't go crazy, but even just like a little bit of witchcraft will like mess with some people. Erica was doing a chant in the movie, and the director had a Wiccan friend who suggested to do a real Wiccan chant, and Erica got so overwhelmed on her take that she passed out. It turns out she was doing a chant to summon the goddess of the underworld, and it just overcame her, and she passed out on set. She did get a little bit of a shit from Wiccan groups for misrepresenting the witches and the exploitation of their practice. I don't really blame Erica, like the actress, for that. She's doing a job. It's up to the director, the writer, the producers, and the actors to make like a group effort into should we do this, should we not do this. But I mean, when you're doing like a role like this and the movie is a sequel to like the biggest horror movie from like a few years before, like do you really want to like stand your ground and like defend a religion that you're possibly not even like a part of? I'm pretty sure she wasn't. And just for a little bit, because it could be misinterpreted. But I mean, I wouldn't go too far as to like really go after just the actress herself for doing that. It's art is dangerous. Like you have to know what you're doing when you're doing this. And it felt like she didn't really know what she was doing, but I mean, she did pass out from doing that, so I'm sure she's got I'm sure the Wiccan group is over. They're pretty much over it. They're like, whatever. It wasn't too effective to our cause. Another group aside from the Wiccans is the town that they filmed this in. The director filmed actual residents from the town and interviewed them about witchcraft and the Blair Witch, but soon got chased out of town. In the beginning, when all those like handheld camera interview shots and like the people there, those are real residents from that town, and that's the director like with his own handheld cam like interviewing them, asking them the questions about any kind of Blair witchcraft or scary stories that may have happened in that town. That was him, and some of those people in that town were not happy about it. They chased him out pretty quick.
Angry villagers.
I understand he was trying to like get like a real like not reaction, but like a real experience from the actual town people to put it into a movie that's trying to make you believe that the first movie is a movie and the second one is gonna be like about like the blurred lines between reality and collective the delusions and the blurred line between them. and they're, I mean, the characters. There's a scene where the characters are watching hours and hours of video from the night before, and their disillusions are getting stronger. But earlier, one of them says a line, "Video doesn't lie, film does." So what we see, the characters are getting marks on their body, dogs are trying to attack them, crazy locals, isn't real to a degree. What they see on the video is actually what's happening, but it's glitchy and subliminal. So it's not like really in your face about it. It's almost like it takes like a back pace from what you're actually saying.
I don't know what's real anyway.
Yeah, they can't tell, and you can't tell either. Well, at least the director's original intent was so that you wouldn't be able to tell. It's very ahead of its time, but I could also see how people could have thought it was like false advertisement, because they're like, oh, Blair Witch 1, it made people think that it was like a real thing that happened. They tried their hardest to make it seem like the Blair Witch 1 was like not police found footage, but the police had found these cameras and this found footage, and later on, oh, it turns out it wasn't real, but a lot of people believed it. And in this one, it was very meta with the group of people that were following. They know about the first one. They know about the first one. They know about the Blair Witch, the lore, the original cast. They know about the witch, the Blair Witch herself. They're trying to like piece all this together. You have like some characters are writing books about it. Some characters are, their whole life is based around it because he's got like merch and all this other, tour sites. You have another character that is literally just there because they thought the movie was cool. So when they're trying to portray that what they think is real or what's just part of the movie, they're in the movie themselves about what actually happened and what didn't happen, even though none of it really happened, because the Blair Witch one was an original concept for a movie, but they just tried to make it. They just try to make they try to make it seem like it wasn't real by making it seem real at the same time. It reminds me a lot of Metal Gear Solid 2. The whole point of Metal Gear Solid 2 commercial wise was to say, hey, here's the main character from the first one. He's going to be in this next one. And then when you play the game, he's in there for a little bit, and then it's a completely different game, but it's actually just the first game all over again with a new cast. And the same plans, the same missions, the same concept, but it's different, but it's also recognizing the original as it being real, but also you get to live through that via VR, virtual reality, from someone who has nothing to do with it, but they know that these events actually happened. It's just like that. It's trying to convince you that it's going to be one thing, when in actuality, it's something completely different. But they're trying to convince you that it's real, but also like. See, that's why it's so like misrepresented, and like people don't really know what to think about it, because the director had this idea to make it seem to blur the lines of reality and like media. But when the producers come in and they say, no, we want it to be just like something hip and entertaining, it's like a box office movie, but he really tried to like put in the undertones of, hey, what you're seeing right now might not be real, and the only thing you could really see is on the footage that the characters are watching themselves in the movie that you're watching. So it's you kind of have to go into this movie with like the director's the director's like state of mind for what's going on, because what you see isn't exactly what happens. There's also some nice references to horror movies. Like there's gonna be dogs on a bridge in one scene, which is a reference to The Omen. And when Erica is spinning in the forest, it's also a reference to the Evil Dead.
Ooh, nice.
Joe Berlinger went on to make more documentaries, but for his big commercial movie, I still think this is very good. And I really hope that we can get a director's cut one day. You know, give it like a Blu-ray release or a 4K release or something, and you know, have like the director's cut as a bonus on there, because I think it's really gonna come back as like a piece worth studying, because you know, it's all the undertones that the director really wanted are there, but then you can also see like, oh, this is all the producer right here. Like the producer when he puts in like, you know, unnecessary like gore that doesn't really, you know, do anything for the movie, and it's not even that good, like the gore scenes or whatever. But what the scenes that really get you can tell the director wanted to do. So I really do hope we get the director's cut.
So what would you rate this movie?
This is a 9 out of 10 for me. I'm gonna rate this 9 out of 10 only because, you know, it could have been a 10 out of 10, which hopefully we will get to. What would you rate this?
10 out of 10 because of Marilyn Manson. The opening was great.
I agree. Well, that's all the time we have for today on Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem, aka MMM. Greg, tell them where they can stick it.
In the fridge.
Good night, everybody.
Monsters, Movies, and Mayhem.